Assalamu alaikum students. Today we will study time value of money. Right. So time value of money, here we need to understand first the interest rate. We need to understand interest rate. So what is interest rate actually? So if you invest some money in a bank or any financial institution, or if you borrow some money from financial institutions, you have to pay interest. If you borrow some money from any bank or any financial institution, that means if you get loan from any bank, you need to pay interest. And if you invest some money in any bank, you will get interest from the bank. Right. So how this interest rate is actually determined? Interest rate is determined based on market demand and supply. But why you should need interest? Remember, interest rate should compensate your, first of all, interest rate should compensate your loss of purchasing power due to inflation. That means over time price of goods may increase. So if the price of goods increases in the country, so that means if the inflation goes up, so in that case, whatever you can buy today with 100 taka, you may not be able to buy the same thing with that same 100 taka after 1 year. So that means if you deposit 100 taka or if you invest 100 taka in any bank, after 1 year, if you get same 100 taka, in that case you will be in loss, because after 1 year, if the price of goods and services increases in the country due to inflation, in that case you won't be able to buy the same thing that you could actually buy 1 year before with that 100 taka. So that means over time price of goods will increase. So if the price of goods increase, or if the level of price increases in the country due to inflation, that should cover, that means interest rate should cover that loss of purchasing power due to inflation. And on top of that, you should get some extra return that should motivate you, because for example, if the rate of inflation is 5%, that means whatever you can buy, if the average rate of inflation is 5%, in that case whatever you can buy today with 100 taka, after 1 year, if you want to buy the same thing, you will need at least 105 taka. So that means if you invest that 100 taka today in the bank, in any bank, in that case after 1 year you should at least get 105 taka. That means you should at least get 5% interest. That should cover your loss of purchasing power due to inflation of 5%. Since the inflation is 5%, if the inflation is 5%, that means you should at least get 5% interest. If the inflation is 5%, that means you should get at least 5% interest rate, so that your loss of purchasing power due to inflation should be covered. And on top of that, you should get some extra return, so that you should be motivated to save the money in the bank. But in real life, we don't get this much interest from our savings in the bank. So that means we are not getting enough motivation to invest our money in the bank. So that means in that case, why should we go for investment? If the bank is not giving you any extra return on top of inflation rate, if the bank is not giving any extra return above the inflation rate, then why should we get motivated to invest our money in the bank? Remember, if you have any surplus money after your consumption, in that case you can save that money in the bank, because if you keep the money inside your almirah or inside your home, in that case security issue is there. Because if you keep your money, if you keep liquid cash at your home, in that case theft issue is there, robbery issue is there, that means security issues are there. And not only that, always remember, if you keep the money inside your home, in that case 100 taka will be same 100 taka after 1 year, it will not grow. But if bank gives you at least 3-4% interest rate, that means if you invest 100 taka today in the bank, in any bank, if you get 103 taka or 104 taka after 1 year, that means you are at least getting some extra return. That means instead of holding on liquid cash, it might be better if you save that money in the bank, because that will give you at least some return. And not only that, it will secure your investment, it will secure your money, right? So interest rate should primarily cover loss of purchasing power due to inflation, and top of that, it should also give you some extra return, right? So as by now you already know that over time value of money will not gonna be same if you have investment potential. If you have investment potential, over time the value of money will not gonna be same, because like for example, if you go to Karan Bazar or Shem Bazar or any wholesale market of Bangladesh, you will see that 1 lakh taka, if any wholesaler gets 1 lakh taka in the night, by next morning they will be able to get at least 10 to 15,000 taka return on top of that 1 lakh taka. That means what they will do, the wholesalers, Karan Bazar, Shem Bazar or wholesaler markets, wholesalers, like for example with 1 lakh taka, if you are a wholesaler, in the night you can buy some vegetables with that 1 lakh taka, and over the whole night you can sell those vegetables to retail sellers, or during morning you can sell those vegetables to retail sellers and make a gain of 10,000 or 15,000 taka. So that means 1 lakh taka in the previous night is not same 1 lakh taka in the next morning, because by next morning you will gain 10 to 15,000 taka. So that means by next morning you will make 1 lakh taka as 1 lakh 10,000 or 1 lakh 15,000. So that means 1 lakh taka overnight you are increasing your investment, you are increasing your capital. So overnight you can increase your capital. So that means 1 lakh taka in the previous night is not same 1 lakh taka in the next morning. So that means if you have investment potential, over time value of money will change. So that means always remember, future value will be higher than the present value, because if I invest some money today, I must get some higher value in future. So if I invest 1,000 taka today in the bank, after 1 year if I get same 1,000 taka, then what's the point? Why should I go for investment? So that means if I invest 1,000 taka today in the bank, I should get at least more than 1,000 taka after 1 year. So future value will always be higher than the present value, right? So how should we calculate this future value? So we can calculate this future value using simple interest rate, right? So simple interest means interest will be paid or charged only on the principal amount. That means the initial investment amount. So interest will be paid or charged only on the principal amount or the initial investment amount. For example, let us check this question. Compute interest amount and the future value of $600 invested at 7.5% interest rate for 10 months. That means if you invest $600 today, what will be the future value after 10 months if the simple interest rate is 7.5%, right? If it says like 7.5% interest rate, that means it's a simple interest rate. So that means if you invest so we are asked to find out the future value of $600. So that means $600 is the amount of investment or present value of investment. So $600 is the principal amount or present value of investment. That's it. Right. So principal amount or present value of investment is $600. Interest rate is 7.5%. So remember, so how much interest we will get? So the interest amount will be, so the interest amount will be, so interest will be what? $600 multiplied by 7.5%. So if you calculate, these will be, so 600 multiplied by 7.5, that means after, oh, one more thing, this is 7.5%. 7.5% is the yearly rate. 7.5% is the yearly rate. So we are not investing for full 12 months. In 1 year we have 12 months, but we are not investing for 12 months. We are investing only for 10 months. So that means 10 divided by 12. So that means, so this interest is, we will get the interest for, this interest rate is for 7.5% is the interest for 12 months period or 1 year, but we are investing only for 10 months. So if you multiply with this one, we will get, 37.5 $. So that means the interest amount will be, that means after 10 months of investment, we will get $37.5. This is the interest amount, right? And the principal amount or the initial amount of investment, the principal amount or the initial amount of investment, is equal to 37.5 is equal to $600, is equal to, so this is the amount we have invested initially, right? Initial amount of investment. So how much you will get in total? So future value means after future value after 10 months. So future value after 10 months, F will be equal to what? $600. That means after 10 months we will get $600 plus the amount of interest. So interest is $37.5. So that means we will get total $637.5. So that's the future value after 10 months. So how we calculate this one? We can calculate it like that way, or we may use a formula. Also. So here 600 is the principal amount or present value of investment. So we can write P plus, and how we calculate this $37.5? So here, this is the way we calculated $37.5. So this is the way we calculated $37.5 interest amount. So that means this is the P, this $600 is the P. So this $600 is the P multiplied by rate of interest. So rate of interest means we can write R, and this is the period of investment. And in our case this is 10 months. So period of investment, that means T. So this is the formula we can use to calculate directly, the future value directly using simple interest rate. So this is the formula we can use directly to calculate future value of any amount using simple interest. So if you take P common here, so that means we will get 1 plus RT. So this is the formula for simple interest. So this is the future value formula for simple interest, right? So this is the future value formula for simple interest, where R is equal to interest rate, T is equal to period of investment, right? So that's the simple interest rate. But in real life, you may not get simple interest rate quite often, because I mean, most of the cases, banks and other financial institutions, they use compound interest. So let's, in this course we will excuse me excuse me, in this course we will mainly focus our discussion on compound interest, not simple interest. So let's move to compound interest. Right, so there's some derivation is there, compound interest formula, derivations of compound interest formula. So I'm going to show you this derivation here. So for example, future value of any amount after 1 year. So future value of any amount after 1 year. For example, if you invest any money using, for example, simple interest, it's not compound. Compound interest means what? Interest will be charged or paid not only on the principal amount but also on the accrued interest. So interest will be paid or charged not only on the principal amount but also on the accrued interest. For example, future value at the end of 1 year. If we use simple interest formula, we know that we know that the formula is P into 1 plus RT. That's the simple interest formula. That's the future value of any amount using simple interest. For example, you are investing it 1 year by 1 year. So that means future value of any amount after 1 year would be what? Would be, so future value after 1 year. So let us write it as F1. So that means since you have invested for only 1 year, P is the present value or initial investment. 1 plus R multiplied by T is 1, because you have invested for 1 year. So what we will get? R multiplied by 1, that means P into 1 plus R. Right. So future value at the end of 2 years will be what? Remember, compound interest means interest will be paid or charged not only on the principal amount but also on the interest. So that means so now future value at the end of 2 years. So remember, so whatever compound interest means interest will be charged or paid not only on the principal amount but also on the interest. So which means whatever you received after 1 year, including the interest, that means whatever you have received all together, including interest and principal, that means including interest and principal, whatever you have received after 1 year, these will be considered as the investment amount for the second year. That means for the second year, whatever you have received after 1 year, this is the amount we have received after 1 year, including interest. So these will be the amount of investment for the second year. So that means after second year, the future value will be, right. So after second year, the future value will be, so remember, as I said, these will be the investment amount now. So that means instead of P if you were using the same this formula, so instead of P here, this is the investment amount. So this is the investment amount multiplied by 1 plus RT. So 1 plus R, again we are investing for 1 year. So we are calculating 1 by 1 year. That means we are investing for 1 more year. That means second year. So second year, that means 1 more year. So 1 year, that means T will be 1. So R multiplied by 1, that means R, 1 plus R. So 1 plus R, this is the new 1 plus R, and this is the previous amount of investment. This is the previous investment amount, previous value. So this is the previous value, and we have invested for 1 more year, that means 1 plus R, that is 1 plus R multiplied by 1 plus R, we will get 1 plus R square. Right. Now we will invest for 1 more year. So right. So in that case, if you invest for one more year, what will be the future value at the end of 3 years? So the future value at the end of 3 years will be, these will be considered as the investment amount for the third year, right? And these one includes the second year interest as well as the first year interest. So these one includes present first year interest as well as second year interest. So now these will be the investment amount for the third year, right? So this is the investment amount for the third year, and multiplied by 1 plus r multiplied by 1, that means 1 plus r. So if you multiply it, we will get 1 plus r cube. So as you can notice clearly, after 1 year we will get f1 is equal to, the future value after 1 year is equal to p into 1 plus r power 1. Future value after 2 years will be p into 1 plus r power 2. Future value after 3 years will be p into 1 plus r power 3. So after compounding, so if you are after compounding for after every period, we will have power that one. It will be compounded by that one, right? So that means future value at the end of n years, or for not n actually, t years. So future value at the end of t years. So future value at the end of t years will be ft is equal to p into 1 plus r power t, right? So that means future value at the end of 5 years will be what? Or maybe 10 years. If you want to find out the future value at the end of 10 years, so in that case we will have the future value will be what? So future value after 10 years, so t will be is equal to 10. So that means power will also be 10. So this way we will get the future value formula for compound interest, right? So these will be the future value formula for compound interest. So that means for compound interest, if you are using compound interest formula, in that case future value f is equal to p into 1 plus r power t. So where, so this is the future value. So future value formula will be, future value, this is the f means future value, p means present value or the initial investment, and 1 plus r is the interest rate, and t is the period of investment. So if you are using compound interest formula, in that case future value is equal to f is equal to p into 1 plus r power t. Then what will be the present value formula in that case? So as you can see here, if this is the formula, we can easily get the present value formula also. So if you want to find out the present value formula, in that case you can bring the 1 plus r power t to the left hand side. That means f divided by 1 plus r power t will be equal to p. So that means p will be equal to, if you want to find out the present value, for example future value, you know the future value, you want to find out the present value. If you know the future value, if you want to find out the present value, you can use this formula. So this formula can also be written as, so if you lift this one up, that means if you bring this one up, in that case power will become negative. We know that if we move this one up, this power will become negative. So that means this is the present value formula. So that means we can calculate present value using this formula, or we may use this formula as well. So this is the present value formula. So P is the present value, F is the future value. Now let us do some examples. So let us solve some examples. Here the question is saying that find the future value of $1,000. Right, so find the future value. That means question is asking straightforward that we need to find out the future value of $1,000, which means $1,000 is the present value. So $1,000 is the present value, and we need to find out the future value at 7% compounded per year. That means compounded per year means at the end of every year interest will be calculated and the investment amount or bank balance amount will be updated. Balance amount will be updated. That means the loan balance or deposit balance or investment amount will gonna be updated including the interest. So that means if you invest 100 taka, if you invest 100 taka, after 1 year you will get 107 taka. 7% is the interest. So that means after 1 year interest will be calculated. That means if you invest 100 taka today, after 1 year you will get 107 taka. So for the second year 107 taka will be the investment amount. That means in the second year you will get interest not only on the initial investment of 100 but also on the earned interest. That means you will get interest. So during second year interest will be calculated on 107 taka. That means that's why this is called compounding, right? So at the end of every year interest will be calculated and it will be compounded like that way. So this is the compounding interest 7%, and period of investment is 10 years. Period of investment is 10 years. So that means T is equal to 10 years, present value P is equal to 1000, interest rate 7%. Remember, when you find out present value, future value, or whatever calculation you do in finance, always you need to convert percentage into decimal. So during calculation we will use convert percentage to decimal. So interest rate is 7%. 7% means 0.07. So interest rate is 7% means 0.07. So that means future value will be what? This is the future value formula. We know we don't need to write this T. Forget it. So future value F is equal to P into 1 plus R power T, where R is the interest rate. Interest rate is given 7%. 7% is the interest rate. 7% is the interest rate. That means 0.07. Right. So 7% is the interest rate. R is 7%. That means 0.07. T is 10 year. So T is 10 years. We are investing for total 10 years. So T is 10 years. So if you calculate it, that means if you type it exactly like the way it is, that means if you type it exactly like this way in the calculator, including the bracket, you should get this answer. You should get this answer. So this is the future value. This is the future value. Right. So practice question, if you let us do this one. What this question is saying, if $500 is invested at 6% compounded annually, what will be the future value after 30 years? So which means if $500 is invested, that means if you invest $500 today, that means this is the present value. So if you invest $500 today, that means this is the present value. $500, if $500 is invested, means if you invest $500 today at this interest rate, what will be the future value? That means we need to find out the future value. Period of investment is 30 years. So we can calculate it directly. We need to find out the future value. Formula is P multiplied by bracket 1 plus R power T. That's the formula. right? This is the formula. So here P is equal to what? Present value. So investment amount is, today we are investing $500. So that means present value is $500. 1 plus R, interest rate is 6% compounded annually. Remember, the interest rate that is given in the question, this is annual interest rate. And since the interest will be calculated on an annual basis, that means we will use this 6%. So 6% is the interest rate. That means 1 plus R, 6% means 0.06 power T. So T is 30 years. Period of investment is 30 years. So period of investment is 30 years. So if you let us calculate this one. So answer is 2. So 2871.7455. Remember, you need to keep up to 4 decimal point. So that means the answer is $2,871.7455. So that's the future value you will get after 30 years. Right. So next question, find the future value of $500 at 8% compounded quarterly for 10 years. Right. So find the future value. That means we need to find out the future value of $500. That means $500 is the present value. Interest rate is 8% compounded quarterly. So compounded quarterly means in a year we have 4 quarters. In a year we have 4 quarters. That means after every 3 months. In a year we have 4 quarters. That means in a year we have 12 months. That means 4 quarter means every quarter will have 3 months. That means after every 3 months interest will be calculated and compounded accordingly. Right. So which means that interest will be calculated on a quarterly basis. But remember, the interest rate mentioned in the question, this is the annual rate. So this is the annual rate, but interest will be calculated on a quarterly basis. That means after every 3 months interest will be calculated. So that means since this is the annual rate, we need to convert this one to quarterly interest rate. So we need to convert this annual interest rate to quarterly rate. Right. So in a year we have 4 quarters. This is the annual rate. So quarterly rate will be lower. That means in a year we have 4 quarters. So which means quarterly interest rate will be 8% divided by 4. So quarterly interest rate will be 8% divided by 4. So that means, so quarterly interest rate will be 8% divided by 4. That means 0.08 divided by 4. 8% divided by 4, that means 2%. This is the annual interest rate. But since the interest will be calculated on a quarterly basis, that means in a year we have 4 quarters. So quarterly interest rate will be 8% divided by 4, that means 2%. So 2% is the quarterly interest rate. That means 2% means 0.02. Right. So what will be the future value in that case? So the future value we need to calculate it like this way. So this is the formula. We already know the formula. This is the formula. Here present value is, we need to find out the future value of $500. So $500 is the present value. So $500 is the present value. So $500 is the present value. 1 plus R. R is 8%. 8% is the annual rate. So 8% is the annual rate. 0.08. 8% means 0.08. 8% is the annual rate. So that means 0.08. But we need to convert these one to quarterly rate. That means we will divide it by 4. In a year we have 4 quarters. This is the annual interest rate. If you divide it by 4, we will get quarterly interest rate. Power T. So power T is, we have 10 years. Remember, in a year you will get interest will be calculated 4 times. That means in a year interest will be calculated 4 times. That means 4 periods, 4 quarterly periods. So in a year you will get interest 4 times. So that means 4 quarter. So in 10 year we will have 4 multiplied by 10, that means 40 quarters. That means interest will be calculated total 40 times. Right. So that means we have 10 years. Let me zoom it. Let me zoom it so that you can see it better. So in a year we have 10 years multiplied by every year we have 4 quarters. So that means we are investing it for 10 years. So period of investment is 10 years. So period of investment is 10 years, and in every year we have 4 quarters. That means out of this, in this 10 year, in the upcoming 10 years, total you will get 40 interest will be calculated, total interest will be calculated total 40 times, right? So that means in 10 years we will have total 40 quarters. So now if you calculate this one, you will get the answer. If you type it exactly like that way, so 500 multiplied by bracket 1 plus 0.08 divided by 4 bracket close power 40. So the answer is 1104.019. So this is the answer. So right. So this is the answer. So future value will be $1104. That means this is the amount that you will get after 10 years. Now, so that means this is the future value. This is the future value. I'm repeating again. Question was find the future value of $500 8% at 8% compounded quarterly. So find the future value. That means we need to find out the future value. So where the present value is $500, interest rate is 8%. 8% is the annual rate, but interest will be calculated on a quarterly basis. So that means we need to find out the quarterly interest rate. So we know that in a year we have 4 quarters. So this is the yearly rate. If you divide it by 4, you will get the quarterly interest rate, and the period of investment is 10 years. So that means 500 is the present value, 1 plus R. The value of R is 8% is the annual rate. 8% is the annual rate. If you divide it by 4, you will get the quarterly interest rate. That means if you divide it by 4, you will get the quarterly interest rate. So period T is the period of investment. So here period of investment is 10 years, but since the interest will be calculated on a quarterly basis, so that means we need to convert it to quarters. That means in 1 year we have 4 quarters. In one year interest will be calculated 4 periods, 4 times. That means interest in 1 year we have 4 quarters. That means we will get interest 4 times in 1 year. So in 10 years we will get total 40 times interest. That means 40 quarters. That means in 10 years we will have 40 quarters. So T is 10 multiplied by 4. So if you calculate, you will see that the answer is this one. Right. Now let us move to the next slide. What this question is saying, if $800 is invested, so if $800 is invested, that means if you invest $800 today, that means this is the present value, at 6% compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually means after every 6 months. That means in a year we have 2 semi-annual periods. So that means after every 6 months interest will be calculated. Semi-annually means after every 6 months interest will be calculated. So in a year you will get interest twice. That means in a year you will get interest 2 times. Interest will be calculated 2 times. That means in a year we have 2 semi-annual periods. So 6% is the annual rate. If you divide it by, in a year we have 2 semi-annual period. So if you want to find out the semi-annual interest rate, we will divide it by 2. So if you divide it by 2, we will get the semi-annual interest rate, right? That means 3%. So question is asking what will be the amount in 5 years. That means how much we will get after 5 years. So in 5 years means how much we will get after 5 years. So that means we need to find out the future value. So we need to find out the future value. As you already know, future value means F is equal to P into 1 plus R power T. So power T. So P is equal to here. So P is equal to, as you can see, $800 is the present value. So $800 is the present value. 1 plus R. Rate of interest is 6%, but compounded semi-annually. So 6%. So 6% means 0.06 divided by the 6% is the annual rate, but interest will be calculated on a semi-annual basis. That means after every 6 months interest will be calculated. That means 6 months interest or semi-annual interest will be this one divided by 2. Power T. So T means here T is 5 years. So T is 5 years multiplied by, in 1 year you will get interest will be calculated twice. In one, after every 6 months interest will be calculated. That means in a year you will get interest twice. So that means in a year we have 2 semi-annual period. So in 5 year we will have total 10 semi-annual period. That means 5 multiplied by 2, that means power will be 10. That means in a year, in 5 years we will have 10 semi-annual period. So if you calculate, you will get the answer. So what will be the answer? Let me calculate. So 800 bracket 1 plus 0.06 divided by 2 bracket close power 10. Right. So the answer is 1075.1331 dollar. So that will be the future value that you will, this is the future value you will get after 5 years. So this is the future value that you will get after 5 years. Right. So let's calculate the next one. Compute the future value. Compute the future value. So compute the, so let's do this one. Compute the future value of $5,000. So question is asking straightforward that we need to find out the future value of $5,000, means $5,000 is the present value. Interest rate is 9%. 9% is the annual rate, but interest will be calculated on a monthly basis. That means compounded monthly means interest will be calculated at the end of every month, and it will compound accordingly, right? So and period of investment is 10 years. So we need to find out the future value. So this is the future value. So this is the future value. F is equal to P into 1 plus R power T. So present value is 5,000 multiplied by 1 plus R. That means let me calculate it for you. So future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus R power T. So P is equal to present value is here. We need to find out the future value of $5,000. So $5,000 is the present value. So $5,000 is the present value multiplied by 1 plus R. Rate of interest is 9%. That's the annual rate, but compounded on a monthly basis. That means since the interest will be compounded on a monthly basis, we need to, that means in a year we have 12 months. So this is the yearly rate So we need to get the monthly interest rate. That means if you divide it by 12, we will get the monthly interest rate. That means 9% divided by 12. So 9% means 0.09 divided by 12, bracket close, power. So here power is 10 years. So that means period of investment is 10 years. So period of investment is 10 years. Every year we have 12 months. Interest will be calculated on a monthly basis, compounded monthly. That means we will get interest in a year. We will get in a year interest will be calculated 12 times. So in 10 years we will have total 10 multiplied by 100, 10 multiplied by 12. So in 10 years we have total 120 months. That means in 10 years we will get interest total 120 times. So if you calculate it, we will get the answer. So let me calculate it. So the answer is 12,256.7853 $7853. So that's the future value you will get after 10 years. So this is the future value you will get after 10 years. So after 10 years we will get this one. So let's move to next question. A bank pays 7.25% compounded daily on a 90-day notice accounts. So 90-day notice accounts means the account will mature after 90 days. So these account will last only for 90 days, right? Short term account. So interest rate is 7.25% compounded daily. That means at the end of every day interest will be calculated, right? So but the rate is the interest rate is given on an annual basis. This is the annual interest rate. This is the annual interest rate, but interest will be calculated on a daily basis. So that means we need to find out the daily interest rate. That means if you divide it by 365, because in a year we have total 365 days. So this is the yearly interest rate. If you divide it by 365, you will get the daily interest rate. If $500 is deposited in such an account, that means if you deposit $500 today, that means this is the present value. What question is asking, what will be the amount in 90 days? That means what will be the amount in 90 days means what will be the amount after 90 days. That means what will be the future value after 90 days. That means what will be the, if you deposit $500 today, if you deposit $500 today, what will be the amount in 90 days means how much you will get after 90 days. That means we need to find out the future value. So future value is equal to F is equal to P into 1 plus R power T. So here present value, that means we are investing $500. So $500 is the present value. 1 plus R. Interest rate is 7.25%. So interest rate is 7.25%. If you convert it to decimal, we will have 0.0725. 7.25% means 7.25% is 07.0725. This is the annual rate. This is the annual rate, but we need to convert it to daily rate. That means if you divide it by 365, you will get the daily interest rate. So this is the daily interest rate, power T. Right, power T. So period of investment is 90 days. So this is already in days. It's not in year. It's not in year. This is already in days. So it will directly be there, 90 days. That means this is the daily interest rate, and also Period of investment is also in days. Period of investment is also in days, so we have nothing to do there. Just we need to just calculate this one. So let's do the calculation now. 500 bracket 1 plus 0.0725 divided by 365 bracket close power 90. So the answer will be what? So that means you will get $509.0178. That means after 90 days we will get $509.0178. So that's the answer. Right. So let's do some practice questions here. Now let us solve this question. Find the future value of $2,500. So that means question is asking us to find out the future value of $2,500. That means $2,500 is the present value. Invested at 10% compounded monthly for next 4 years. So that means this 10% is the annual rate, but it will be compounded on a monthly basis. So the future, we need to find out the future value. So let's find out the future value. So here the present value is $2,500. So we need to find out the future value of $2,500. That means $2,500 is the future present value. So present value is $2,500, and interest rate is 10% compounded monthly. So 10% compounded monthly. So 10% means 0.10, but 10% means 0.10. Compounded monthly means we need to divide it by 12, because this is the yearly rate. 10% is the yearly rate, but it will be compounded on a monthly basis. So that means in a year we have 12 months. So that means we need to find out the monthly interest rate. So 10% in a year we have 12 months. 10% divided by 12, that is 0.10 divided by 12. Period of investment is 4 years. So period of investment is 4 years. So 4 in 1 year we have 12 months. So in 4 years we will have total 48 months. So if you calculate, you will get, so 2,500 bracket 1 plus 0.10 divided by 12 bracket close power 48. So if you calculate, we will get 3,723.3852 $3852. So that's the future value. Right. So similarly, you can calculate the other two problems also. You can solve the other two problems also. Right. Now the question is asking that at 8% compounded annually, how many years will it take for $2,000 to grow to $3,000? So at 8% compounded annually. So interest rate is there. We already know the interest rate. Question is asking how many years will it take for $2,000 to grow to $3,000. That means how long it will take for $2,000 to grow to $3,000. That means $2,000 is the present value. We need to find out how long it will take for this amount to grow to this $3,000. So present value is obviously the lesser one, that is $2,000. Future value is the $3,000. We need to find an interest rate, we already know. Question is asking how many years will it take. That means period of investment. We need to find out the period of investment. That means we need to find out the value of T. Interest rate is, this is annual rate, and it will also compound it on an annual basis. So we don't have to do anything. So see here, let us do it. So future value is equal to, we already know future value is equal to P into 1 plus R power T. So here future value is 3000, present value is 2000. So $2,000 will grow to $3,000. So obviously higher value is the future value, lower value is the present value, because value should grow over time. We know that. So present value is $2,000. 1 plus R, interest rate is 8% compounded annually. Since this rate is annually and it will be compounded on an annual basis, we don't have to do anything. That is 1 plus 8% means 0.08. 8% means 0.08 power T. We don't know the value of T. We don't know the value of T. We have to find out the value of T. Right? So let us assume that value of T is, value of T is X years. We don't know the value of T. Let us assume that value of T is X years. So we need to find out the value of X or maybe T. Right. So what we can write? So here 3000 divided by 2000. That means if you bring this $2,000 to left hand side, we will get it like that. Right. So here what we will get, 1.08. If you add these two, so 1.08 power X. 1.08 power X. So we need to find out the value of X. So 3000 divided by 2000, that means 1.5 is equal to 1.08x. 1.08x. Right. So now always remember, if you want to find out the value of a variable, and the variable is in the power, if you want to find out the value of a variable and variable is in the power, you need to move it down from the power. And how you can do that? You need to take log on both sides. So you can take log on both sides. If you take log on both sides, in that case power will move out from the power and will go behind log. We know that according to the theory of logarithm, if you have a power in front of log, that power will move out from the power and will go behind log. Right? So will go behind log. That means power will move out from the power and will go behind log. Right. So now that means we can bring all the logs on same side. So log 1.5 divided by log 1.08 is equal to X. Right. So that means if you bring these one to left hand side, we will have these one. So now let us do it. Let us do this calculation now. So that means X will be equal to, let us do this one. So first we need to press log and then 1.5 bracket close divided by log 1.08 bracket close. If you do it, you will see the answer is 5.2684. 2684 years. That means it will take approximately 5.2684 years for $2,000 to grow to $3,000 at 8% interest rate. That means it will take 5.2684 years for $2,000 to grow to $3,000. Right. So let me change the question now. Suppose now the question we have is here is how many years will it take for a sum of money. So how many years will it take? Let me zoom out. So how many years will it take for a sum of money to multiply into 5 times, at for example at 4%. So at 4% compounded monthly. So that means question is asking how many years will it take, for a sum of money, how many years will it take for a sum of money to multiply into 5 times. Multiply into 5 times means if you invest 1 taka, you will get 5 taka. That means you will get 5 times more, the 5 times. That means if you invest 1 lakh taka, you will get 5 lakh taka. If you invest 1000 taka, you will get 5000 taka. That means you will get 5-fold the amount of investment. That means question is asking how many years will it take for a sum of money to multiply into 5 times. That means if you invest 100 taka, you should get 500 taka. If you invest 1000 taka, you should get 5000 taka. If you invest 1 taka, you should get 5 taka. So question is asking how long will it take for 1 taka to become 5 taka at these interest rate. So let us assume that, so the formula we know already, the formula is F is future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus R power T. That's the formula. We already know this formula. Power T, right? So present value, so future value is 5 taka, present value is 1 taka. That means if you invest 1 taka today, you should get 5 taka in future. 5 times, that means multiply into 5 times means if you invest 1 taka today, you will get 5 taka later. 1 plus R. Interest rate is 4%, but compounded on a monthly basis. So that means 4% is the annual rate. 4% is the annual rate. We need to convert it to monthly interest rate. So that means to convert this one, we will divide 0.04. That's the annual rate. 4% means 0.04. That's the annual rate. If you divide it by 12, that we know that in a year we have 12 months. If you divide it by 12, we will get the monthly interest rate. Bracket close. Power T. So let us assume that power T is, T is X years. So let us assume that T is X years. So let us assume that T is X years. Okay. So that means we are assuming that it will take X years to get for 1 taka to become 5 taka. So it will take X years for 1 taka to become 5 taka at 4% interest rate. So X years. So we already know that in a year we have 12 periods, 12 months. In a year we have 12 months. So in X year, so in 1 year 12 months. In 2 year we will have 2 multiplied by 12, that is 24 months. In 3 year we will have 3 multiplied by 12, 36 months. So in X year we will have what? X multiplied by 12, that is 12x months. That is X years multiplied by 12, that means 12x months. Right. That means 5 is equal to what we will get here, 1. So let us do this one. Let us calculate this one. 1 plus 0.04 divided by 12. So 1 plus 0.04 divided by 12. So this one what we will get? 1.0 0.0033 power 12x. So power 12x. So if you multiply in 1 year we have 12 months, in x year we will have 12 multiplied by x, that means 12x months, right? So now as you know already, if the variable is in the numerator, if the variable is in the power, and if you want to find out the value of the variable, you need to take log on both sides. So let us take log on both sides. So if you take log on both sides, power will move out from the power. So we already know that according to theory of logarithm, if there is a power in front of log, if there is a power in front of log, that power will move out from the power and should go behind log. That means it should go, that power 12x, that power 12x should move out from the power and should go behind log, right? So it should go behind this log. So we will have this one, right? Now what we need to find out? We need to find out the value of x. So to find out the value of x, what we will do? We will bring everything else to right hand side. So that means it will go in there multiplied by this one, right? So in the right hand side we will have only x. So x is equal to, let us do this calculation. So let us do this calculation. How should we calculate? First of all, we will press log 5. So first of all, we will press log 5. We will close the bracket and then divided by, and then here 12 multiplied by this one. So for this one, we need to put a bracket. So 12 first we need to press bracket and then 12 multiplied by log 1.0033. 1.0033 bracket close, and then if you press equal, you should get 40.7094 years. That means x is equal to, the unit of x is years. That means we have assumed that it will take x year for 1 taka to become 5 taka. That means it will take 40.7094 years for 1 taka to become 5 taka at 4% interest compounded monthly. So this is the answer, right? Right. So now let us solve this question. So the question is asking that at what interest rate compounded quarterly. So that means interest rate we don't know. So we don't know interest rate, we need to find out. So that means at what interest rate compounded quarterly a sum of money will double in 5 years. So a sum of money will double. So that means if you invest 1 taka, you will get 2 taka. If you invest 1000 taka, you will get 2000 taka. So that means if the present value is 1 taka, you should get 2 taka after 5 years in future. So that means future value. So future, we know that the future value is equal to present value multiplied by bracket 1 plus r power t. So power t, right? So now, so future value, let us assume that future value is 2 taka, present value is 1 taka. That means if you invest 1 taka today, you should get double. Double means you should get 2 taka after 5 years. So if the present value is 1 taka, future value is 2 taka, 1 plus r we don't know. The value, the rate of interest we don't know. So let us assume that annual rate is x. So x% is the interest rate. X% is the interest. X is the interest rate. And since the interest rate is said that compounded on a quarterly basis, so this is the annual rate, this is the annual rate. Since the interest will be compounded on a quarterly basis, so we know that in a year we have 4 quarters. So to find out this is the annual rate, x is the annual rate. So compounded quarterly means we need to convert it to quarterly rate. So we know that in 1 year we have 4 quarters, so we'll divide it by 4. Bracket power t. So t is 5 years. So t is 5 years is there. So 5 years, but compounded quarterly, that means in 1 year interest will be calculated 4 times. That means in 1 year we have 4 quarters. That means in 5 years we have total 20 quarters. That means 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4, 5 multiplied by 4, that means 20. In 1 year we have 4 quarters. In 5 years we have 5 multiplied by 4, that is 20 quarters. That means 20 compounding periods. Right. So 2 is equal to, we will have 1 plus power 5 multiplied by 4, that is 20. Right. So now we will move this power from left hand side, from the right hand side to left hand side. So we will gonna switch this power from one side to other side. Remember, if you move power from one side to the other side, power will always move as power, but we will get inverse of that power. So that means power will always move as power. Power will always move as power from one side to another side, but we will get inverse of that power. So that means we have moved this power from this side to this side. So as I said, power will always move as power, but we will get inverse of that power. So we will get 1 by 20 in the power. Right. So now what we can do, we can bring this 1 on the left hand side. That means we can bring all these 1 also to left hand side. So in the right hand side we will be left with only these. So now that means now we will calculate. So now we will calculate. So first of all, let us calculate these 1. Let us calculate these 1. So if you calculate these 1, you will see that 2 power. So how you calculate these 1? How you calculate these 1? Let me show you how you calculate these 1. First of all, you press 2, then you press the power button, and then press bracket, because this is in the power. So that means you need to press bracket and then 1 divided by 20, bracket close, and then minus 1. And then if you press equal, you should get the answer of this 1. Why you should put the bracket? Because if you don't put the bracket, if you don't give the bracket there, what the calculator will understand that we have 2 power 1 and then divided by 20. But it's not the case. This one is in the power. This one is in the power. So we need to put a bracket there. Otherwise, you will get the wrong answer. So let us calculate this one. So we will get 0.03526. So 0.03526, right? Something like that. And then on the right hand side we have x divided by 4. So x is equal to, so if you do the cross multiplication, then we will have 4 multiplied by this one, 4 multiplied by this one, 4 multiplied by this one. So this one, the answer of this one is already in the calculator display, because we have just now we have calculated this one. So this is already in the answer. So this is already in the answer. We will just press multiplication and then 4 multiplied by 4. That means if you calculate, you will get that 0.14106. So remember, this is the interest rate. This is the interest rate. This is the annual interest rate. So this is the annual rate, right? This is the annual interest rate. So as I said before, when we will do calculation, we will use decimal, but interest rate should always be represented as percentage. So that means this one need to be represented in percentage, right? So if you multiply it by 100, if you multiply this one by 100, we will get 14.106 percentage. So that means 14.106 percentage compounded quarterly. This is the interest rate. So question asked us that what interest rate compounded quarterly, a sum of money will double in 5 years. So we can say that 14.106 percentage compounded quarterly, this is the interest rate, right? So this is the interest rate. So now let us solve some more problems. So now let's solve this question. What is the present value of $2,500 payable 4 years from now at 8% compounded quarterly? So that means question is asking us to find out the present value directly. So question is asking us what is the present value. So we need to find out the present value of $2,500, which means $2,500 is the future value. We need to find out the present value, right? So that means this $2,500 is payable 4 years from now. That means this is the future value that you will get after 4 years. So this is the future value that you will get after 4 years. So to get this value after 4 years, how much should you invest now? That means what should be the present value so that you should get $2,500 after 4 years, and interest rate is given, right? So let's do it. So present value, always remember here future value is given. We need to find out the present value. So that means this value, we need to bring this value 4 years back. So this is the value you will get after 4 years. So that means you need to bring this value 4 years behind. That means always remember, if you go back, that means we need to come, this is the future value, we need to come from future to present. We want to come from future to present. That means we want to go back. So if you always remember, if you want to go back, in the formula power should be minus. So we want to find out the present value. So if you want to find out the present value, P should be on the left hand side and obviously F should be on the right hand side. 1 plus bracket 1 plus R power minus T. That's what I was saying. So if you want to calculate the present value, that means from the future you want to come present. That means you are from future you want to come to present. That means you want to go back. So if you want to go back, your power should be minus. So now let us calculate. So here the future value is $2,500. So future value is $2,500 bracket. So future value is $2,500. Interest rate is 8% compounded quarterly. Interest rate is 8% compounded quarterly. So 8% means 8% is the annual rate. That means 0.08 compounded quarterly. So 8% is the annual rate, but it will be calculated on a quarterly basis. compounded on a quarterly basis. So that means in 1 year we have 4 quarters. So if you divide it by 4, we will get the quarterly interest rate. Bracket close. Power minus t. Minus t. T is what? Time period or period of investment. Period of investment is 4 years. So period of investment is 4 years multiplied by, in 1 year we have 4 quarters. In 1 year we have 4 quarters. So in 4 year we will have total 16 quarter. That means 16 compounding periods. So 16 compounding periods, right? Or 6, that means interest will be calculated 16 times. So if you calculate these one now, we will get the answer 2500 multiplied by bracket 1 plus 0.08 divided by 4, bracket close, power minus 16. So right, so if you calculate, you will get the answer, and the answer is $1,821.1145 So this is the present value. That means, as if you can notice, future value is the higher value, present value is always the lower value, right? So that means if you invest $1,821.1145 today, if you invest this much dollar today, after 4 years, you will get $2,500. So this is the future value you will get after 4 years. Right, so practice question. What is this question is asking? What is the present value of $4,000 payable in 20 years at 8% compounded semi-annually? Right. So what is the present value? Question is asking directly to find out the present value. So $4,000 is the future value. So $4,000 is now the future value. So So $4,000 is the future value, and interest rate is 8% compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually means after every 6 months interest will be calculated. So that means in 1 year we have 2 semi-annual period. So that means 8% is the annual rate. If you divide it by 2, you will get the semi-annual rate. So that means 8% divided by 2, you will get the semi-annual rate, and period of investment is 20 years. So in 1 year we have 2 periods, 2 semi-annual period. So in 20 years we have total 40 semi-annual period. So 20 years multiplied by 2. In 1 year we have 2 semi-annual period. So in 20 years we will have total 40 semi-annual period. So now if you calculate, you will get the answer. And what will be the answer? Let's see. 4,000 multiplied by 1.04 power minus 40. Because if you divide this 8% by 2, you will get 4%, that is 0.04. If you add it with 1, we will get 1.04 power minus 40. So you will get the answer, and the answer is $833.1561. So that means that's the answer. So that means if you invest $833.1561 today, you will get $4,000 after 20 years. Right, so let's move to the next question. How much must be deposited now in an account paying 7.3% compounded daily? Question is asking how much must be deposited now. That means how much should you deposit now? That means what should be the present value? Question is asking us to find out the present value paying 7.3% compounded daily. So that's the interest rate. In order to have just enough in the account 3 years from now to make $10,000 available for investment in a business enterprise. So that means you have a plan to start a business or invest some money in a business. So how much money you will need to invest? $10,000. So you want to invest $10,000 in a business after 3 years. So that means after 3 years you will gonna need this $10,000. So after 3 years you need $10,000. So question is asking to get $10,000 after 3 years. To get this $10,000 after 3 years, how much should you deposit now? That means this $10,000, this one you will need after 3 years. So that means this is the future value. This $10,000 you will need after 3 years. So in future you will need this amount. So this is the future value. Question is asking how much you should deposit now. So that means what should be the present value. So that means you will need $10,000 after 10. You will need $10,000, right? Right. So an interest rate is 7.3% compounded daily. So 7.3%, if you divide it by 100, you will get the decimal. So 7.3% means 0.073. This is 7.3%. This is 7.3% and compounded daily. Compounded daily means this is the annual rate. This is the annual rate. If you divide it by 365, we will get the daily rate. So if you divide it by 365, we will get the daily rate. Right. So period of investment is 3 years. So period of investment is 3 years. So 3 multiplied by, in 1 year we have 365 days. So in 1 year we will have 365 days. So that means interest will be calculated 365 times in a year. So in 3 years we will have 3 multiplied by 365 days. So if you calculate, let's see what's the answer. So 10,000 bracket 1 plus 0.073 divided by 365 bracket close power minus 3 into 365. So that means we will get $8,033 and 393 pence. That means $8,033, $33.393. So that's the present value. That means if you invest $8,033.393 today, in that case after 3 years you will have $10,000 to invest in your business, right? So that's all for today. This is the lecture 1 from time value of money. So in future I will give you the second lecture, third lecture and fourth lecture. So this is the lecture 1. That means this is the first lecture from the time value of money series lecture. Okay, so this is the first lecture. So in the next lecture we will gonna study continuous compounding, we will gonna study perpetuity, we will study growing perpetuity, and we will study what is that called, effective, how to calculate the effective rate. So this is the lecture 1. Okay, so you need to practice this question at home to get a very clear understanding on this concept. Allah Hafiz.